We're trying out a new format for the Post Geekout reactions in which we now talk about movies weeks after they've come out and everyone stopped caring. Don't think it's gonna work, but then again, YouTube's algorithm is so screwed up, I'll try anything at this point. Hey everyone, it's me, Aaron.
I'm Michelle.
And this is our Post Geekout reaction for Creed 2. Creedin' harder.
The Creedening.
The Creedin'. Damn it, that was better. That was better. I should have done that. The post-Creed out reaction. So yeah, for everyone out there who's wondering why the heck this review is coming so late, if you've been watching this over the past couple weeks, you know that our apartment has kind of been falling apart. Like, to the point where we had to stay here at all times and keep an eye on the apartment to make sure that it did not collapse. But it finally looks like that's resolved. It looks like it's finally slowly being repaired, so it feels like it's actually safe to go to the movie theaters again. And I was thinking people probably didn't care at this point, but I've actually still had a lot of people asking for my thoughts on Creed 2. So we finally went and saw it, and plus I just wanted to see it anyways because Rocky is my favorite movie franchise of all time, and after finally watching the first Creed, yeah man, I'm invested in Creed. I really want to follow the adventures of Adonis Creed. And I'll say, this movie, it hasn't been getting as good reviews as the first one. And when this movie starts, I could kind of tell because it's not being directed by Ryan Coogler again. And you could definitely tell, like, he added, like, this sense of realism to the first one. In fact, I remember when we were watching the first film, you had never seen any of the Rocky movies, and you actually said to me, oh, these take place in the real world? Like, that was actually what you said to me. I was like, what did you think it was? And then I understood what you meant, is that you thought it was like, no, it was supposed to be like kind of like a fantasy world, not like Lord of the Rings, but, but a totally fictional world. But no, the thing that I always loved about Rocky, at least the first Rocky film, was that it was firmly cemented in reality. And yeah, when you watch Creed, it's like, no, this feels like the real world. The later Rocky films did start to feel more like fantasy. Like, I've always criticized Rocky 4 a whole lot, even though I know people love it, because that's the moment that Rocky became a superhero, in which he fought a cyborg to stop the Cold War.
That'd be interesting, stopping the Civil War. Rocky goes back in time and...
Rocky can't go back in time! No, Adrian, I gotta stop it. Time's been rewritten. I'm the only one who remembers. Me and Doc Brown gotta go back in time. And
does like those old-timey boxing matches, like...
Oh, that would be awesome to see a professional boxer go back to one of those. Back when, like, skinny, scrawny-ass dude, like... Yes! Rock just knocked all his teeth out at once. But yeah, when you start watching this one, yeah, it totally felt to me like, yeah, this is not the same person making this movie. It definitely does not feel the same. Because the first one, it felt kind of dark and kind of realistic. Like, it was not afraid to take its time. It was not afraid to make every shot look like you were almost voyeuristic, like you were just sitting there with these people in these slices of their life. It was not afraid to get really depressing with the subject matters. This one begins, and it's Adonis Creed. He's going up against the guy who he fought in like a little match in the gym that refused to train him. And I'm glad that it starts with that because I remember when we were watching Creed, I was like, that really feels like a dangling plot thread. Because then they even say that that guy was like the heavyweight champ of the world, and he's the guy who kicked Creed's ass at the beginning of this film. Doesn't feel like we should come back around to that? Yeah, that's how this one begins. I was like, okay, maybe you guys were waiting on that. You decided to come back to that thing. But then just like the way that the characters are acting and the way that it's shot, it doesn't have that really mellowed out real world feeling to it. It feels almost sitcomish at times. Like this movie begins with Adonis wanting to ask his girlfriend to marry him. And he's very nervous, which is understandable. However, he's acting very comedic in here. Which, this movie reminded me that Michael B. Jordan is an insanely talented comedic actor as well. Everyone has forgotten that, but no, man, this guy can do comedy really darn well. Which is why it's a shame that he's now so freaking huge. You can't be that buff and be funny. Like, we've got Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. That's pretty much it as far as, like, buff comedy guys go. So I don't think Michael B. Jordan is going to want to keep going to the gym so that he can do silly slapstick comedies anymore. Which is a shame, because like, oh man, we lost a really comedic talent there, but that's the thing about Michael B. Jordan. He's a dynamite actor. He can kind of just do whatever he wants. So if he wants to be really ripped and huge and play Creed for the rest of his life, he can do it. Man, that's one thing I can't help, but I gotta bring it up right now. He is freaking gigantic in this movie.
Well, he had to be.
But I mean, like, he was big in the first film. Like, he worked out, he got in shape for the first film, but then he kept working out to play Killmonger. And it looks like after he got even bigger to play Killmonger, he kept working out to get even bigger for Creed and Creed 2. And then, like, halfway, not even halfway, but 2/3 of the way into this movie, they do a big-ass train montage where he has to get even tougher. And then it shows him again at the end, and he's even bigger than what he was at the beginning. It's like, how much bigger can you get, man? So yeah, I just had to get that out of the way right now because it was going through my head throughout the entire movie. Like, in the first film, yeah, whenever he took his shirt off, like, he was buff. But in this movie, even when he's got, like, shirts on, it looks like he is about to just shred that, like the Incredible Hulk. Which is one of the things that makes his opponent in this film so freaky. Because Michael B. Jordan got so huge for this movie, and then they bring on his opponent, and he's like twice his size, and like, oh my god. So sorry, I'm gonna get off that topic right now. But yeah, it starts off, and it is far more comedic. It is far more, I don't want to say slapsticky, but it's kind of jokey, and just even like the way it's shot. It starts off with this great, like, one long camera shot of him prepping for the fight. But then after that, like, a lot of the cameras, it's far more stationary than they were in the last one.
Yeah, I've noticed that too. And they didn't, like, do the long shot. Like, I remember, like, in the first movie, you were, complimenting.
Exactly opposite.
Like that scene where they're both in the ring and it's just like one long shot panning around while they duke it out, and it's like, yeah, that was impressive.
I think they were so buff in this film that if they did one long take of them beating each other up, it'd be like, someone's gonna actually get hurt on this. If we have to do take 2, someone's gonna get brain damage. But yeah, in this one, they have the one long shot to prep for, so it's like, it's not like the director isn't capable of doing really cool stuff like that, but just a lot of, like, when people were just sitting around and chatting with each other, just the positioning of the cameras, it was far more stable. Like, I remember a lot of, like, kind of, I don't want to say shaky cam, but, like, camera work that felt more voyeuristic in the first one. Like, you were there.
Yeah, it's like, well, there were definitely, like, the camera was shaky in this movie, too.
Yes.
So.
Maybe it's the lighting. I don't really know what it was, but it just felt more like, the first film, it felt like I was there. This one, it felt like I was watching a movie. Which is not bad to feel like you're watching a movie when you're watching a movie. I'm just saying, like, you can tell these are different people, and it's creating a very different tone in this film. So when the movie began, I was looking at it, and I was like, okay, I get why this is getting worse reviews, because, yeah, it's not bad. I'm not unenjoying this, but it doesn't feel as emotional to me right now. It's not having the impact of it. And, again, everything in the first one felt so real. But in this one, the premise of this film is that, you know, Apollo Creed, he was killed in the ring by Ivan Drago. And in this one, Ivan Drago has come back with his son, and now he wants his son to fight Apollo Creed's son. And there's the moment in which Drago and Drago, they are in Philly, and they are just walking around, and they're looking at everybody celebrating Rock, and they're standing there at the top of the stairs, which are the iconic stairs that you climb up to feel like a champion, and they're standing up there at, like, the top of Rocky's mountain, and just looking out at Rocky's city, like, we're gonna burn this motherfucker to... Like, they look like super villains.
Yeah, it's like, I know you were, like, complaining about, like, how the fourth one is so cartoony. It's like, this is kind of like that.
I had that feeling. Man, I had that feeling so hard. And I was like, oh, so we're not even doing, like, the first one was a remake of Rocky, so the second Creed isn't even a remake of Rocky 2, Rocky 3. We're just skipping right to Rocky 4.
Although, to be fair, it makes sense.
It's the same villain. It's the same villain. I understand that, but I was like...
it's the guy who killed your father. Obviously, you had to...
I understand, yeah, it comes back around. It has to come up at some point. But, man, I was looking at that, and I was just like, Oh, oh. All right, strap yourself in. I know what I'm in for now. And then, like, after that, there is a moment in which Drago goes to meet Rocky at his restaurant. And, man, they set that up like they're going to murder Rock right at the beginning of this movie. Like, maybe it was just me. I knew they weren't going to do it. But they set it up like, we want your boy to fight our boy. We want your champ to fight our champ. Not going to do it? Okay, well, maybe if I break legs and destroy entire restaurant, that will show you. It was like, I thought that's what they were going to do. I thought that they were going to, like, burn down his restaurant, like, beat the crap out of Rock. And it's like, no, Rock, I'll get revenge for you. Man, I'm glad they didn't do that. Because, yeah, that would have been too silly, but they set it up so that it feels like that's what's going to happen. I was like, don't do this. Not like this. And yeah, at the beginning of this film, it was like, man, you're turning Creed into a superhero now. You're bringing in the supervillain now. You're bringing in the Rocky League of Evil in this, the Legion of Doom. And, oh my God, it's not that I wasn't enjoying it. I just had to accept this is what it's going to be. And it's not what I like from these Rocky films. It's not what I liked about the first Rocky. It's not what I liked about Creed. We're not getting that in this one. But then there comes a moment in which Creed has to decide to fight, was it Victor Drago?
Yeah, Victor.
Okay. He has to fight Victor Drago. And, man, it even sounds like a supervillain name. Victor Von Drago.
Honestly, it's like the characters in Punch-Out have, like, less cartoony names.
Man! In order to challenge Creed, we had to fight the best Soviet boxers. Soda Popinski. I think that's the only Russian one in the game. Why does Mike Tyson have a guest appearance in these movies? So, yeah, I thought that's where this was going to go, but then it does actually start to get a little bit more personal. Like, the promoter for the fight, he comes up to Creed, and he's trying to tell him about why he needs to take part in this fight. And it's weird because the promoter for the fight is still very cartoonish, but he's very Don King, and that's exactly what Don King was like. Mm-hmm. So, like, okay, yeah, this is actually on brand for the type of character you're going for, so I understand it. And his lines were actually really darn good. Like, yeah, like he was the devil, is what he was.
Yeah, but it's like when he goes up to the Creed, it's like, sorry about all the hype, but you understand, right?
This
like,
is just part of the game.
Yeah, it's part of the game. I gotta play the game, you know?
He is the devil, because every word out of his mouth is like, Creed, I can see those wheels turn in your head. Don't do this, man. He's trying to lead you down a dark path. And we'll do one little spoiler here. Typically, we save all the spoilers for the end of the review after we give the score for anybody who wants to leave and hasn't watched the movie yet. But to throw an extra element in here, Creed has now learned that his wife is pregnant. Mm-hmm. What was his wife's name? Because I keep calling her just Tessa Thompson. It was Bianca?
Yeah.
Okay, Bianca. Okay. Yeah, she is now pregnant, and they're going to have a child. And now Creed is really being tempted when he finds out he's going to have a kid to go and fight the son of the guy that killed his dad, who's even bigger than that guy was when he killed his dad. So, yeah, this entire time you're like, don't, Creed, I know this is what the movie is about. Don't do it. Let all those trailers be fake. So, yeah, this movie actually, when it got to that point, I was like, okay, I'm starting to get invested in Creed a little bit more. Rocky's telling him, don't go and do this, so he's telling Rock that he doesn't need him anymore. It's breaking your heart to see those two fall apart, because even when the interactions between these characters were a little bit more cartoonish or a little bit more exaggerated than they were in the first film, I still like the interactions between these characters. Like, Michael B. Jordan and Tess Thompson have a lot of chemistry, but the best chemistry in this entire movie, to me, is still probably the best chemistry from the first film. Rocky and Creed have amazing chemistry on stage, and it's still great in this entire movie. So yeah, when you see them kind of like turn on each other, it really does break your heart. But then about like not even halfway into this movie, like a third of the way in this movie, they have the fight, and you all know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
You know he ain't gonna win this.
Yeah, it's like, it's way too early for him to have a victory.
If he wins this, you're just gonna have to like look at your watch and be like, oh damn.
What? So what happens in the next like hour or so? Like...
Also, it's 2018. Why am I still wearing a watch? Yeah, at that moment, I was just like, well, there's like no tension in this because I know exactly what's going to happen. I know that he's going to lose this fight, but I will say they did add a little extra twist to how the fight ends. I'm not going to spoil that for anybody, but adds a little extra twist to it that does now add an extra stake to the rest of the film. Because it isn't just, well, I have to get revenge. It's, I have to get revenge. And also, there's another element that I also still kind of have to take care of. And if I don't do it soon, then something else bad is going to happen to me. I thought that was kind of brilliant. Again, I'm being super vague on this one because we'll save it for the spoiler part. But yeah, I actually thought that was really smart that they didn't just do, he beat me, now I have to fight him again to reclaim my honor. It was like, no, he beat you, so your pride is damaged. But also, because of the way that he beat you, there's still now this other thing just hanging in the air there, and if it doesn't get taken care of, then another problem arises. So, here's the thing. It's not that he just beats him. He beats him nearly to death. And as I was saying, this movie, it didn't have the personal element to me that the first film did. Until this moment. Until it gets to the moment of him being in the hospital bed. Like, there was a moment in which Michael B. Jordan is just crying there in the hospital bed, just telling off Rocket, like, you weren't there for me. And yeah, like, he just is broken down completely. And Tessa Thompson, you can tell, like, she's... Having her be pregnant in this film, it was a brilliant way to show you, like, how long it takes for Michael B. Jordan to recover in this film. Because, like, you can follow how far along she is in the pregnancy, how old the child is getting. Like, you can tell time is progressing. It's a really smart thing that they add into this movie. Plus, it also adds the stake in there of, like, yeah, you're about to be a father. Should you really go and fight the guy that murdered your dad? So, yeah, I thought that was brilliant how they handled that in this film. But, yeah, everything after that... When you see, like, Tessa Thompson just being torn up about this and the doctor just telling her, like, too much stress on you could be bad for the baby. You know this, right? Man, the rest of this film, the emotional elements just get ramped up more and more and more. And by the end of this film, I was actually enjoying it just as much as the first Creed. Like, when it comes down to it, I still like the first Creed more, simply because I felt like it was steadily, my level of enjoyment was steady throughout the entire film. This one starts off a little bit low, and then bam, it ramps up there and is right there equal with the first Creed film. I know that you actually were talking about this after the movie, you actually felt a little bit differently.
Yeah, it's like I said, I actually kind of got,
bored.
bored in the first one. I think it's because, like, it was just, like, a very slow incline to the climax.
It was a slow film.
Yes. And for this one, I felt like there were breaks. So it's like, doot, oh, she's pregnant, doot, oh, this happened, doot, oh, hey,
doot, oh, you're right. Yeah, that's a good way
to
handle
this film. So it's like, yeah. So, like, because it's like a constant, slow, uphill climb, it's like taking steps.
There was beats to it.
Beats, yes, that's what I was...
It was bam, big moment here, bam, big moment there, bam, big moment there.
Yeah.
Whereas, yeah, the first film, it is more of a steady... And,
yeah,
okay, you know, I can see that. I can see that definitely being a reason to enjoy this one more. Yeah, because whenever there is a big moment in this movie, it's a rather large moment. This movie, it's got pretty damn big impacts. And I'm not saying... For me, the first film did have impacts as well, but they were slower. They were...
Yeah, and, like, most of them didn't, like, come into, like, the third act, so...
Yeah, but it's like the first time that he, like, wins against someone, in the first film, that to me was a big moment, but it was shot even slower. Like, even though it's that one long shot, that one long shot is meant to not be, like, big and dynamic about, like, oh my goodness, slow-mo action shot, everything is like, it's meant to be like, you are there watching this fight. And I like that about the first film, but I can understand why someone would prefer this film as well. But yeah, this entire movie, like, for the next, like, here's the thing, time ceases to mean anything to me in a movie when I'm really getting into it, but I'd say maybe like 40, 45 minutes, maybe even an hour of this movie. Probably not that long, but like 40, 45 minutes, the next 40, 45 minutes, it's just Adonis Creed having to recover. And this movie does not shy away from how difficult that is. Mm-hmm. I'm just going to go ahead and say this right now because I know that might cause some people to get really squeamish, so I'm just going to prep you for it, but there was a moment after he gets his ass kicked and he finally comes home and he has to get up in the middle of the night to take a piss and he is going, and I was like, are they going to actually show that he's peeing blood? Because I know that you piss blood after something like this. They show it. Mm-hmm. They show like blood just going in. And I was like, holy shit, I can't believe they actually showed that. Good on this film for actually showing like how difficult something like this is, like how painful this is. And yeah, you see the slow process of him recovering, and not just physically, but emotionally. There's so many moments in here in which they're like, hey man, you kind of have to go out there and fight someone again. He's like, like there's a moment in which he has to go to his dad's old trainer because Rocky won't train him anymore. And he's the one who trained him for the first fight, and then he's the guy who's also like, yeah, man, you gotta actually get ready for another fight. I mean, come on, man, we gotta schedule another fight for you eventually. We're talking about, just come inside with me, come inside of the gym, and we'll just, we'll spar a little bit, just to loosen you up, just to get back into the feeling of it. And Adonis is sitting there in the car, and he just goes, yeah, okay, man, I'll meet you inside. And then the coach is just sitting there looking at him, and you can just tell from the look on his face, like, he knows Creed isn't coming back inside. Like, just, he's got this, like, heartbroken moment of silence in there. Yeah, okay, man. Just, like, he knows that Creed is a broken man at the moment. And Creed really, he has these great moments in which he is talking about how much this hurt him, and you can tell it's not just pride. It's that this is the thing that he loves. This is the thing that he's always been driven to do. I mean, in the first film, he had a comfy office job, and he was already living in a mansion, and he still was going down to Mexico in the middle of the night to fight people in back rooms simply because he had to fight. And now he's actually kind of terrified to do it. And he feels like he's got this giant weight that's holding him down and keeping him from being able to do it. And yeah, the moment in which he is really going into all that, it gives you so much depth to his character. And it's depth that we already knew, but man, they explore it even more in this film. They also make you, somebody like me, who was in the audience sitting there going, don't do this, you idiot, you have a child now, it's not, don't do. But when he's like giving you that speech about how it's like, imagine if you just couldn't do the thing that you loved anymore. Yeah, man, it kind of hurts. You kind of feel it a little bit for him. It's like, okay, well, I kind of understand. I get why you have this drive to go out there, even though you know it's stupid. It's, all right, I understand. And what I love is that Tessa Thompson, she's pretty supportive of him throughout all this. Like, the first time they fight, she's not really that okay with it, and they address that later on, but she understands who Adonis Creed is. She knows what she got to do when she married him. And I really think that she is also still... She didn't get as much screen time in this one. At least not as far as her story goes. In this one, she was more supportive of a character to Creed rather than being her own character whose storyline was intermingling with Creed's storyline, which is how I kind of read into the first film. In this one, she is more like there to support him. Or just like give him story elements, but I get it, it's his movie in this one.
Yeah, it's like I kind of had like the opposite. It's
really?
Like in the first one, it's like, oh, yeah, she's the love interest, so that's kind of how I felt about it. So.
Really now? Interesting. How do you feel about her in this film?
I do like her. I do like her still. I mean, yeah, because like she's no longer like just the love interest. Like now that they've hooked up and everything, I see her more as a supporting character rather than just the love interest.
Interesting. Okay, because I thought she had like a lot going for her in the first film.
Well, it's like they also address like she got like a studio to like sign up for her songs and stuff.
Oh,
so.
in this one they did.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So they do have her career.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, I want to move to LA because that's where all the record studios are, and he's like, but I want to stay here in Philly, and then eventually like he moves back to LA. So
they do. Well, they moved to LA pretty quick. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what? Okay. Yeah. Fair enough. All right. Yeah.
Also, she's the one giving birth and everything.
I guess it's more. I guess here's the thing. In the first film, I felt like she had her own struggle of trying to make it. Mm-hmm. In this film, I feel like her struggle is supporting Creed. That's why, to me, in the first film, she felt more of like an established character.
Okay, I understand.
Not an established character, but more of like she had her own arc and her own journey. Whereas in this one, her journey is intermingled with Creed's.
Okay.
Okay, I guess that's... But, I mean, then again, I get that that's what this movie is about. It's about Creed. Yeah. So, yeah, I still really like this, and... I will say the final fight when it's the big time for them to go back against each other, I thought that was like, I was on the edge of my seat throughout that entire thing. And it's not just Creed that you get more depth to. Rocky has his own storyline going in this because they bring up how, he still doesn't get along with his son. It's not they don't get along, they just don't talk.
Yeah.
And Rocky is lonely.
Yeah, and like now his son has a son of his own, so like he's a grandfather now, and he's never even met his grandson before, so.
Yeah, so he's got his own storyline going along in here, and it makes you really kind of care about him, especially when, we talked about in the first Creed film, we said that what was so great is that Adonis never had a dad, Adonis never had a dad, Rocky's son just kind of left and he hasn't spoken to him, and now the two of them kind of finally have a family in each other again, and now Creed is gone, Creed leaves, he goes to LA, he doesn't want Rocky training him anymore, so Rock's just kind of a sad old guy alone, and this film, it really does hammer in there that idea that Rock is a dinosaur. Mm-hmm. He's got a corded phone. He takes notes on a little notebook that he carries with him.
Well, they also brought that up in the first one, which I thought was kind of silly the way they presented it. It's like,
what is a cloud?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
it's like, I know you talk about how realistic the first one is, but it's like, there are some kind of silly moments like that.
There are those silly moments. I do get that. I do understand that. But in this one, they never had to stop and point it out.
Yeah.
It was just who Rock was. Mm-hmm. And I like that in this one. But it's not just Rocky. Freaking Drago, who in the first film was nothing but a cyborg. He was a robot sent back in time to kill Apollo Creed so that he couldn't lead the revolution. He was just a robot in the first one. Oh my god, Drago has so much going for him in this film. And when you first see Ivan Drago in here, I was looking at it the first film reminded me that Sylvester Stallone actually can act. When someone can direct him and someone can give him a good script, Sylvester Stallone can act. Dolph Lundgren cannot act. He can't. I'm sorry. Halfway through this movie, it shut my mouth right up, and I was like, oh my god, Dolph Lundgren can actually act. Oh my goodness. Wasn't expecting that. So, this movie, it really delves into, listen man, I'm just a stray dog over in Russia right now. People spit on me. I am ashamed for my country. His wife left him.
Yeah, and there was a scene where they had a little family reunion, and it's
ooh, that was some awkward shit.
Yeah, it's you actually start feeling for these guys. It's gee, I kind of want you guys to.
You're a murdering supervillain.
You're a murdering supervillain, but you have a reason why. Everyone abandoned you. Of course, you'd be pissed off.
And what I love about this is that it makes you look back when you find that out. It makes you look back at that beginning moment. When they come to Philly, and they're looking out yes, time to destroy America. And it makes you look at it no, that wasn't what that was. That was them going, look at everyone loving Rocky. Mm-hmm. Look at this statue of Rocky.
Yeah.
Look at everybody running up here to imitate Rocky. In Soviet Russia, everyone wants to kick my butt. Everyone hates me. Everyone wants to acknowledge that wants to pretend like I don't exist. Mm-hmm. And it's oh god, that makes that moment go from silly to actually really good and heartbreaking. Yeah, man, there's like a moment in which the son is yelling at the father about like, I don't even know that woman in there. That's not my mother. She abandoned me. And then like Ivan Drago's just like, I lost. And, like, this is all my fault. The reason why you don't know your mother is because I lost. The reason why we had to live in the slums and in just filth is because I lost. And it's like, yeah, Drago blames himself for every bad thing that's happened to his son and to his life. And like, oh my God. Why am I liking these characters? Yeah, it's amazing that this film actually managed to make me do that. Yeah, I was really damn impressed with that. Yeah, it's weird for me to say that. Yeah, this film was excellent with how it handled the Dragos. But I also really like that, to me, this is not the first film was kind of like a remake in a way of the first Rocky film. This film, even though it should be a remake of Rocky 4, to me, this is a remake of Rocky 3. Because, okay, not only is it the hero loses halfway through the match and then they have to train and then they come back and they are able to win at the end. Spoiler alert on that, sorry. But also, I always said that the thing that I liked about Clubber Lang in Rocky 3 is he was the evil Rocky. He was the Rocky who did not get Adrian, who did not get his trainer Mickey there telling him how to win. He's the guy who just had to like keep fighting until he just got angrier and angrier because he didn't have anybody there for him. That's exactly what Victor Drago is. Victor Drago is the guy who, he had his dad, unlike Adonis, but his mom left. And Adonis had to grow up going from foster home to foster home, but then like his mom found him and brought him into a giant mansion where he lived a good life, and everybody in America loves Apollo Creed. He is a hero, and everybody looks up to him, and now Adonis' big quest is, oh, can I live up to my father's legacy? Can I make my own legacy? But with Victor Drago, hey, he had his dad, but his mom left, and everyone hates his dad. And now he's growing up just living in filth and just having to grow up fighting in the back alleys and just having to fight and struggle to prove himself in order to try and fight back up there. Not to try and be better than his dad, but to redeem his dad. Yeah, I absolutely love that they turned Victor Drago into a mirror image of Adonis. It's his doppelganger. That's the thing that I like so much about Rocky 3, and it's what they did in Creed 2. So, yeah, man, I really dug this. I believe I gave the first film a 9. This is almost a 9 for me. I'm going to give it an 8.5, simply because I thought the first, like, half hour of this film didn't quite gel with me all that much. But then after that, this movie did start ramping up more and more. Yeah, the end of this film is just as good as any moment in Creed, in my opinion. And we'll get into like a little bit more of the details about why that is in the spoiler section. But what about you? What's your feeling?
What did I give the
I think you gave it like an 8 or an 8.5.
Yeah, if I did give it like I'd probably like give it like 1 above. Like so like if I did give it an 8, then maybe like 8.5. So I guess like we both kind of
okay, so like an 8.
I think we both like evened out. Like you liked the first one so much, but you kind of like went down. I didn't like the first one that much, but like I kind of like
you still gave the first one an 8, so you still liked it a decent amount.
Yeah, but like it was just
as much as I did.
Yeah, I just didn't like the pacing. That's all.
Right. Yeah, understandable. Okay, so those are our scores. 8.5. Still really enjoyed this movie. Now time for the spoiler corner. The thing that I've been kind of like saying this entire time, like the interesting thing they did is that Adonis Creed, he gets his rib broken and he is down there on the floor. He's struggling to get up. And then Victor Drago comes in and punches him while he's on the ground.
Yeah.
So he gets disqualified, which counts as a loss for him. So even though we all know that Creed lost that fight, technically because Drago broke the rules, he's the one who lost. So Adonis Creed still has his world champ belt on. And that's the thing that's that like ticking time bomb there.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, man, it's not like you can even just retire. You have to fight someone or you lose the belt. So yeah, that's kind of a big deal there. But as far as the end of this goes, there is this thing that It's the only moment in this film where it gets insane, like the older Rocky films did, like when Rocky IV got insane by him going and just doing the hearts on fire, like the giant training mission out there in the tundra.
They actually like brought that song back, and you were actually in the Creed, and you were just like, all right, was that song or was it a different song?
No. Yeah, I thought it was that song for a brief second, but no, there is a remix.
A remix of it.
No, there is a remix of the Keep On Fighting.
Oh, yes, that's the one.
Yeah, the actual Rocky theme.
Yeah.
Which you were saying, in our first Creed review, I said that, okay, I like whenever they would do like the remix of it, but there was a moment in the first Creed where they just flat out play the song, and it came at a moment in which they like stopped so that the whole thing can start playing. I didn't really care for that because it felt like, yeah, Creed, he's supposed to be establishing like his own legacy here, and then they totally just stopped, zoom in the camera so that the Rocky theme can play. It's like, I don't know about that. Like if it was a remix of that, I'd be okay with it. In this one, during his massive training montage, they play a remix of it. I was like, that's exactly how you do that. And then there is a moment in which I think they actually do play the actual song itself during the final fight, but it is not a moment where they stop the entire thing to zoom in on him as it starts playing. He is like getting in there and he is just going toe to toe with him, and then bam, he knocks Drago to the ground, and then bam, it starts playing there. That's how you bring it in. I love how they brought this song in during this one. But there is a train montage in which Rock comes back in, the two of them patch things up, they're getting along together, which, again, the chemistry between Sylvester Stallone and Michael B. Jordan is so damn good in this film. But Rocky comes back in here, he's like, all right, well, I gotta get you back into shape, and this guy, he's a big bruiser, so you gotta be able to take it. So he has to do a big train montage, and it is crazy, just like the train montage in Rocky IV, except it's so different because in Rocky IV, he trains in ice. In this one, he trains in fire. Literally at one point. But he takes him to this weird, like, I had to look at this and like, Rock, how do you even know that this thing exists? Like, how do you even know this is a thing? But he has to take him to this, like, deserted, gross, nasty, just run down gym out in the open, like not even like with
like in the desert,
like, out in the desert, like just miles from any sign of civilization. And Creed actually says it looks like this is hell, and he goes, "It's gonna feel like hell." And yeah, he has to now just do this really intense, crazy ass training out there, in which, like, he's got a medicine ball attached to his head, and he's having to lift it with his neck.
He has to, like, pull metal chains.
He's got to, like, do the tire flip, which that's actually a common one. That one I've seen before. I've never seen the medicine ball attached to the head thing before. But then there's a moment which he has to go and just fight against this guy who is built like a tank. But the way that they fight is Rock has to train him to take punches. So they put a big tire in the middle of the ring, and each of them have to put a foot inside. So he's not allowed to, like, dodge and bob and weave. It's literally just them taking turns punching each other until Michael B. Jordan is able to take enough of these punches and deliver punches even stronger. There's moments in which he has to, like, just hold onto a bar and keep himself up while Rock is just slamming a medicine ball into his stomach, like where his ribs were cracked. Yeah, it is crazy how intense this training gets. But I actually, again, I should look at this and be like, yeah, this is the moment where it became a cartoon. I kind of like this. I don't know why. Like, maybe it's because I could look at this and be like, okay, he's fighting big bruisers. Kind of the same way, kind of just like Drago is. He's fighting guys who grew up training the same way that Drago grew up training. Like at the beginning of this movie, you see Drago's dad chasing him down as a car, forcing him to run faster. And then at one point, you see Creed having to chase after a car. And then at the end of this, when they're at like the big peak moment, Creed is now running from the car, and the car can't even keep up with him. So yeah, I actually really dug this train montage. Like, I can look at, like, the damage that he is taking during this and go, like, that actually is good preparation to go up against Drago and the way that Drago fights. So, this movie, it ends with the big climactic battle, and it looks like Creed is in trouble, but Creed is delivering the punches just well. And then finally, Drago starts going down. And I love that he didn't just knock Drago out.
Yeah.
He's hitting Drago hard, and Drago's looking like he's going to go down, but Drago keeps getting up over and over and over again. And at the end of this, Ivan Drago, his dad, throws in the towel. The thing that Rock has been saying for 2 movies now, I should have thrown in the towel when I had the chance. I should have stopped that fight. I should have thrown in the towel. At the end of this, Ivan Drago, the guy who kept saying that, listen, we need to win. It's the only way that I can make up for what I did in the past. It's the only way to reclaim my name. The guy who basically has been like almost torturing his kid with the level of training that he was putting him through ever since he was born in order to prep him for this day that he could get all of his glory back. There's a moment in which Ivan Drago was like, screw my honor, that's my son up there.
No, it's like, and the thing is, like, before he even threw in the towel, like, his mother was there to watch the fight, but when she started seeing him, like, slowly, get loose, she just gets up and leaves. Like, she does not even stay.
She does not care.
No, and that's when he's like, that's when his father's like, it's not worth it, that's my son.
Yeah, exactly, it's like, okay, like, he keeps also bringing up, like, your mother left us, and yeah, there is that moment which, like, after the mom leaves, that you kind of tell that, like, Ivan Drago was just like, what was all this even for? My son might die up there, and my wife didn't care.
Mm-hmm.
None of this matters. My wife didn't care. She's dating some, like, big political officer. He left too. My wife doesn't care. My country doesn't care. If they don't care about my son, damn it, I care about my son. And yeah, there is that moment in which, like, he's going up to him after the fight, and he's trying to, like, swat his dad's hand away, because you can tell, like, this kid was raised to do nothing but win this specific moment to reclaim his dad's glory. And his dad's trying to come in for a hug. He's like swatting him away, because he's like, no, I'm a loser, I screwed up, I know, why did you stop the fight?
And then he tells him, it's okay. And that's, like, when you realize, yeah, like, it is okay to lose. Like, it's okay because you're my dad and you're still there for me.
It's like all that stuff that, like, screw it, man. All that stuff didn't mean anything. And at the end of this, yeah, the movie begins by you seeing, like, Drago running from his dad, who's trying to, like, run him over with the car in order to trim. At the end of this, it's the two of them jogging together.
Yeah.
And Victor Drago has had nothing but a giant frown on his face the entire movie. And yeah, everything, he's still got the giant frown. But there's a very brief moment where he looks over at his dad jogging next to him, and he doesn't smile, but he stops frowning for a split second, and it's like, that's enough. That's, yeah. Like, you're not going to, like, go full 180 in a second. No. It's like, just a little bit of something. Like, yeah, that's the Grinch's heart not growing 3 times its size, but, like, 1 time its size. Like,
yeah.
It's a start. It's like, man, god damn. How did this movie give Drago so much emotional depth? I am stunned at what this movie was able to do. But it also resolves Rocky's story in here. Because Rock, at the end of this, he goes and he sees his son, which it's the same guy who played his son in Rocky Balboa. I actually, the entire time, was wondering if they were going to bring that guy back, and they did, even though it was for, like, 2 minutes of screen time. But he brings him back, and throughout the entire movie, Rock is playing with this ball. It's this ball he's had throughout the entire franchise. It's been like his defining trait that he's always playing by himself with this ball. And at the end of this, he meets his grandson, and the kid goes, is that a ball? He goes, yeah, you want to play catch? It's like, he has someone to throw the ball to. That's brilliant. That is so goddamn good. Yeah, I freaking love that end. And and Sylvester Stallone has come out and said, this is more than likely his final time playing Rocky.
Yeah, I had a feeling, like...
Good!
Yeah, I had a feeling that, like, the second Creed movie would be, like, the last time we see Rocky, but, like, I thought it was going to end in tragedy. I thought he was going to die of cancer because they brought that up in the first movie.
Oh, I thought, man, the moment that I realized that Victor Drago is meant to be, like, Creed's Clubber Lang killed Rocky's trainer. I thought, like, Victor Drago was going to kill his trainer. Like, also, like, he killed his dad, and, like, now he's going to come and kill Rock, too. Like I said, that moment in which they are at Rock's restaurant, I was like, they're going to, like, beat the shit out of him and burn the restaurant down around him or something like that. That's how this is going to end, isn't it? Yeah, this is actually the perfect way to send him out. He finally connected with his son, and not even that, when Creed wins the match. Rock goes, "It's your time now." And then he just slowly walks away. Yeah! It's in the first film, it was him trying to live up to Apollo Creed's legacy, and a massive part of Apollo Creed's legacy is Rocky. In this one, it is the guy that killed his dad, and Rock has been tormented this entire time because he knew he could have saved his dad if he had thrown in the towel. He could have saved him if he threw in that towel, but he didn't, so he's been tormented this entire time. So Rock, looking at the son of Apollo Creed, who he trained, finally kind of gain Apollo Creed's revenge on Drago, and at the same time warming Drago's heart at the same moment. Yeah, like when he says, "It's your time now," it's kind of him saying, like, "I'm finally done." Like, the one thing that's been tormenting me there's been two things tormenting me my entire life. Apollo Creed's death, I haven't connected with my son. I just helped you resolve this one major thing. I'm going to go off and do that other thing. And he goes off and he does the other thing. He reconnects with his son. And, man, there was a brief moment in there in which he saw his son. And I was like, is the son going to tell him, like, get the hell out? Like, no, none of us want to talk to you or something like that. Don't do that. No, the son's like, "Dad, why have you never come here? Dad, come on, man." I'm like, "Mom, I'm like Adrian. I'm all about emotion. I know you're a big brick wall. Come on, we've all been waiting for you to come to our table here." It's like, man, it's Rock got his ending. And I've been saying this forever when it comes to the legacy of big movie heroes. Give them an ending. Give them a send-off. I don't want to see characters keep being just dug up and dragged back out over and over and over again. Yeah, man, they gave him a great ending. And do not bring him back for any, like, other than like a small phone call where you see him like living with his son now and his family or something like that. Like, aside from like a small phone call or something like that. Like, don't. It's over. It's over. You give him the perfect ending. You cannot do a better ending for Rocky than that. But also, yeah, what did we talk about in the first film? We don't want this to just be the continued adventures of Rocky. Mm-hmm. Creed's entire thing is, I want to create my own legacy. And he can't really do that if, like, in the next film, he's fighting the son of Clubber Lang. If in the fourth film, he's fighting the son of whoever it was that he fought in Rocky Balboa. I don't even remember that guy's name. Yeah, you can't just keep dragging these guys out. Like, you revealed that Apollo Creed had another illegitimate child who also wants to be a boxer. It's like, no, man, if you come back for Creed 3, Rocky's gone, the Apollo Creed legacy is taken care of. Now it's time to bring in, like, the Adonis Creed legacy. Bring in, like, a new villain that's entirely unique just to Adonis Creed. Bring in some elements that are just unique to him. This movie, it settles all the old stuff and makes way for the new stuff. And the last shot of this film, man, I started, like, welling up with some tears at the end of this thing. At the end of this, in which you see him standing at his dad's grave, and he's talking to his dad's grave for the first time really in his life, and he brings out his daughter, and like he's just saying, "You want to say hi to Pop Pop?" And it's like, oh God, I don't know why, but it just really started tearing me up inside. But also, it's that look of like, yeah, this is Adonis Creed's story now. That's his family up there. That's his daughter. That's his wife. He's got the connection to his dad, but man, it is his time now. So yeah, I think this movie goes out brilliantly.
And like another spoiler, his daughter was born deaf.
I was going to, that was something I forgot to bring up.
Yeah, because like Bianca, she has like a hearing disability and it's like hereditary. So they check the baby to see if she also has the same disability. So
that was the moment in this film when I really started getting invested. Like I said, when Creed was in the hospital bed, I was like, oh, okay, this is when it gets emotional. Okay, I wasn't really feeling it up until now, but now I'm starting to feel it. The moment with the daughter and the hearing test is when I actually got really invested in this. Because they had to test to see if she still had the same hearing disorder that the mom had. And I just kept looking at it. It's like, she's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. Any second now. They're not going to do... They wouldn't do that in a movie like... Wow. And then you see like a big-ass tear come down Michael B. Jordan's face, and I was like, oh my God. Drama. a lot of drama. Oh, I'm invested in this family now. And man, yeah, watching them like try and like watching them deal with this, watching them like at the end of this movie when you see like the big hearing aids on the daughter's face. But like they're still together, they still all love each other. It's like, yeah, man, God, it feels so good. It makes you feel so good to see like this is the journey of the Creeds, of the Adonis Creed family. Yeah, I absolutely love it.
Speaking of which, like, I know he proposed to her, but like we didn't see a wedding or anything.
Yeah, okay, that was one question that I didn't have.
So it's like, is that gonna happen in like the next movie?
No,
or?
I think it just happened off. It might be like a deleted scene or something.
But I kind of felt like that was a big issue.
Yes. Okay, that is something that I didn't have a problem with. We never see, like, there was a moment in which I had to stop and go to the bathroom, and I went, like, shortly after they got engaged. So I kind of just assumed it happened while I was in the bathroom. So, but I still had that question of, did it happen while I was in the bathroom? So no. I'm glad you bring that up right now.
No, when you were in the bathroom, they cut to Victor doing, like, another montage thing.
Okay. So I lived at the perfect moment in there.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I did have that problem, but in the back of my mind, I was like, I'm sure it was probably something I just missed in there. It's just like, no, wow, yeah. So they really did just skip over that wedding. Wow. Okay, fine. Yeah, that's kind of weird. All right, I still stand by my 8.5 rating. But yeah, all the family stuff, like all the stuff of him recovering while trying to raise this child and dealing with his wife being pregnant, like, yeah, man, it's all great. The moment in which he finally goes back to the gym when he's trying to keep the baby quiet. Yeah. And he's like he starts pushing the bag around just to try and like entertain the baby. But just the feeling of his fist hitting the bag again, it brings up all those emotions. And he just starts crying and screaming as he's punching it.
Well, it's a good thing the baby's deaf. Otherwise, that would really upset her.
I don't know. Maybe babies get off on weird stuff. Maybe the baby would like hearing her dad cry. But yeah, it was such an emotional moment, like the moment when she's like crying, holding the baby, like, I know Dad's being a little bitch. It's like, it's supposed to be kind of like a comedic moment, but it's a comedic moment to break the truckload of tension that is going by at the moment. Yeah, this movie, I still stand by my 8.5, but goddamn, there are some 10 out of 10 moments in this movie. So yeah, I freaking really enjoyed this film. There is a part of me that almost wants to put it on my top 10 of the year, but we have yet to even do the quest for the best. Yeah. So I know there's got to be a lot of stuff that is currently on my 10 best movies of the year list. There's got to be probably like 4 or 5 of them that end up getting dropped off when we do our quest for the best. Although, oddly enough, it just hit me. This is the first year in which, at Oscar time, there aren't a lot of, like, quote-unquote, Oscar movies being released. Normally, we're being flooded with them at this time of the year, and instead, I'm like, well, there's one, there's another one, and there's 2 superhero movies thrown in out of nowhere. Although, apparently, like, the surprise Dark Horse frontrunner for the Oscars is Into the Spider-Verse at the moment. Like, it's got actual, like, not even best animated picture, but actual, like, best movie of the year buzz going for it at the moment. Like, how the fuck did this happen? So we're going to be seeing that in like 2 days. So we'll see how the fuck that happened in 2 days. So if you want to see that, then make sure you hit that subscribe button and come back next time. Bye, everyone.
Bye.